The morning of April 12, 1945, began like any other, until a single phone call shattered the rhythm of the nation. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was dead. After leading America through the Great Depression and nearly all of World War II, the man who'd become an icon of steady hands and bold visions was gone. In his place stood a quiet, unassuming man from Missouri, Harry Truman. Most Americans barely knew him. Even members of Roosevelt's inner circle looked at Truman with suspicion. What they didn't know, what no one could have predicted, was that this man, who had only met Roosevelt a handful of times, would dismantle nearly everything the previous president had built. And it would begin within days. You won't believe how deep this purge went, or why Truman felt he had no choice but to do it. At first, Truman said all the right things. He called Roosevelt the greatest man of our time and promised continuity. But in the back rooms of the White House, something very different was brewing. Roosevelt's closest advisors, men who had stood beside him through economic collapse and war, expected to remain in power. They had been running the show for over a decade. They believed Truman would keep them. But he didn't. One by one, he began to cut them loose. In the first weeks, it was subtle. Small reassignments. Quiet removals. But within 18 months, the purge would be complete. Everyone who had held real influence under Roosevelt was gone. The press didn't see it at first. The public didn't notice. But behind the scenes, Truman was swinging an axe. And the reason? It wasn't just politics. It was personal. Truman knew he was walking into the shadow of a legend. He wasn't Roosevelt. He didn't have the charm, the aristocratic air, or the sweeping speeches. But what he did have was resolve. And secrets. You see, Truman had been kept in the dark during much of Roosevelt's presidency. He didn't even know about the Manhattan Project, the top-secret effort to build the atomic bomb, until after Roosevelt died. That humiliation ran deep. The people in Roosevelt's circle had excluded him. And now, Truman was the one in charge. He didn't trust them. He believed they were loyal to Roosevelt's vision, not the office of the president. Not the Constitution. Not to him. This is where the story turns. Because Truman didn't just fire them. He replaced them with people of his own choosing. Men who shared his values. Men who were loyal to Truman's America, not Roosevelt's legacy. This wasn't just a change in staff. It was a revolution inside the White House, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. America was racing to finish the atomic bomb. The war in the Pacific was raging. Europe was in ruins. And at home, the country was holding its breath. Truman had to act fast. The world was watching. And he knew. If he made the wrong call, millions could die. What Truman did next would change everything, and it would shock even his closest allies. Stick around, because in the next part, you'll hear how Truman took control of the military, challenged the State Department, and even stunned Churchill himself with a decision that altered the course of the Cold War. Truman's purge wasn't finished. If Roosevelt's advisors thought they could survive by keeping quiet or acting overly loyal, they were wrong. The new president moved from the halls of the White House to the most powerful institution on earth, the Pentagon. Roosevelt's top military mindsmen, who had shaped Allied strategy across Europe, expected to guide the new president. Instead, Truman stunned them. He began demanding briefings they never imagined he'd question. He overruled them publicly. And when they pushed back, he replaced them. It was a message broadcast across Washington. Roosevelt's America was over. Truman's America had begun. Behind closed doors, foreign diplomats whispered that the United States was becoming unpredictable. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill assumed Truman would be easy to manipulate. He expected him to follow Roosevelt's grand strategy without question. But at the Potsdam Conference in 1945, Churchill watched in disbelief. Truman sat across from Joseph Stalin and stood his ground, calm and unflinching. He spoke in a quiet confidence that no dictator or statesman had expected. Truman didn't flinch because he had a secret in his pocket. America now had an atomic bomb. He didn't boast. He didn't explain. He simply let Stalin know everything had changed. That moment shattered the old order. Truman had something Roosevelt never had: raw, unmatched power. And he wasn't going to let Roosevelt's team wield it. He shut certain advisors out of meetings altogether. He denied them access to critical documents. There were rumors he didn't trust them with national secrets.